everyone, and welcome to a brand new PRLostGalaxy2014 video rant, actually, not a commentary or a podcast of any means. Anthony Mars Jr. on PRLostGalaxy2014 with my thoughts on the Rush Hour television series that aired on CBS. Well, more likely a mid-season replacement of some show on CBS for the 2015-2016 TV season, but technically, I don't really care. You know, I really liked the Rush Hour movies with Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan in in all three of the movies. But for the namesake of a television series based on the movies, it's a disgrace. I'm gonna tell you now. These are my thoughts on the television series and why exactly. First off, I didn't think that the Rush Hour TV series was actually going to be all that great. Actually, even when I watched, okay, I'm just going to tell you the truth. I only watched the pilot of the show. That's it. The only episode of the show that I've only watched was the pilot. Because technically it was a rushed retelling of how Carter and Lee got together, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, things are different from what it was from the movie's plot. Because let's face it, in Rush Hour 1, what was the plot for that movie? What was the plot for that movie? Carter and Lee team up, first time they meet, you know, in order to rescue the High Council's daughter from Juntao, and that was the film's plot. This here, the pilot episode rehashes some of that, but mixing it with elements about Lee and his sister and all of that, and I'm like, what the hell is this? I mean, suppose if, you know, that girl that would have been Lee's sister, suppose if Lee and the girl that he saw was his sister was Soo Young or something in the TV adaptation. But let's face it, I understand it's an adaptation of the movies, but it's bad, but it's done in a poor way. Because let's face it, I did not like Rush Hour, the television series, for one particular reason. It failed to live up to the legacy of the movies. I mean, the guys that they got for Carter and Lee is just not as superfluous and interesting as, Jackie and Chris's versions of the characters from the movies. But I would have to say, for the sake of James Carter in the film, that being Justin Hires playing the character, let's face it, when I saw Justin Hires as Detective James Carter, I was like, this dude is nothing like Chris Tucker's version from the original movies. And seriously, Justin Hires, I don't even think he was all that damn funny. Now, I can see if they had someone like Kevin Hart in the show, then we'll talk. But considering I have not seen I don't even follow Kevin Hart or his comedy, so don't ask me why. And then John Fu as Lee, Chief Inspector Lee. I'm like, what the hell is this? And I'm like, this dude is not as interesting as Jackie Chan, and like, oh, come on. And I'm like, okay, well, I just don't get it. Well, let's face it. And the difference between the hype between the two actors, Hires and Fu, that the difference between them and Tucker and Chan is that when we had Chris Tucker as Carter, he was taller than Lee. In the show, he's shorter than Lee. In the original movies, Lee was shorter than Carter. In the TV show, Lee is taller than Carter. You see the comparisons? And I understand the things are different, but it feels like it's a horrible cashed-in, horrible cashed-in reboot of the movies, and but put on television. And I'm like, why on earth would they make this into a television series? I mean, they should have did a Rush Hour 4 or do a movie reboot or some crap like that, or even put the damn thing on Netflix or something. Make a Netflix, Netflix only TV reboot of the movies that is the most beloved, because I love the Rush Hour movies. I loved everything that Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker did together in those three movies. Well, say Rush Hour 3 with that, Who Are You? And, It's the Crying Games, I'm Brokeback Carter, or maybe we should put on a dirty movie for about $5.95, and those kind of jokes like that. Anything like that. And about, I'll shoot his beads off and all, again, still jokes from Rush Hour 3 still in my head. And I keep saying to myself, why on earth would they make the show when knowing it was not going to be funny? I didn't even think the person they got for Carter was funny. I didn't think the guy, I didn't think that they were going to expect to go all out, try to make a good quick cash out, a quick cash, make quick cash or quick buck off of the show, to expect people who are fans of the movies to like the TV show adaptation. You know, I feel that the Rush Hour TV series is in the same lineage and boat as the Charlie's Angels TV reboot that came out on ABC back in 2011, which was that being almost 5 years ago, come October of this year. So, and as soon as when I saw the execution of the show, I'm only judging the show by the pilot. I didn't watch episode 2 onward because, let's face it, the show is already canceled, and I'm glad it is, because let's face it, why on earth would they even... Well, I get that they took the characters of Carter and Lee up there, you know, into the film, into the show, considering this is a Rush Hour based adaptation and all for something outside of the movie medium, but with the characters of like Sergeant Dee Diaz and Gerald Page and Captain Lindsay Cole, and those characters like that, I'm like, well, I get it. It's something they got to do for the TV adaptation. And particularly the one reason why, okay, I bet you probably are wondering this reason for me why I wanted to see the show before I had to give it up, because I was not looking forward into it, is that the reason why I watched the show mostly only for just the pilot was just because Wendy Malik, who was one of my favorite, you know, actresses, you know, in my opinion, and still one of my favorite celebrity crushes, was going to be on the show. I mean, in a Rush Hour based TV adaptation of a movie adaptation of a show, and because when I heard Wendy Malik was going to be in the Rush Hour television series, I was like, well, it's been 10 years since I was obsessed with Wendy, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to give this a shot, even if it's going to suck. As soon as when I saw the pilot, I was like, nope, I'm not interested. I just lost interest. I just don't think the guy they got for Carter is funny. I don't think the guy who is Lee is all that impressive with his martial arts and crap. So I'm like, I'm out. So, and after I saw the pilot episode, I said, the TV show sucks. It just plain sucks. And then also, you got all these recurring characters like MSS Agent Kim Lee, who is like Carter's Lee's, you know, younger sister, or Donovan Oven, or characters like that. And then, you know, the guest stars in the show. I mean, you got Robin Lively, Byron Mann, and James Hong, or whoever these guest actors were on the show. I didn't even think they were all that. I didn't think they were all that interesting. Now, let me go over this. But the difference, the character personality traits for Lee in the TV show compared to the movies. You see, unlike in the movies, Lee did not carry a firearm on the job due to being haunted by having to kill someone with one in Hong Kong sometime before the series. And also, since when did Lee ever had a sister? I know it was widely condoned in Rush Hour 3 that Kenji is Lee's brother, who was separated sometime, way when just events after before Rush Hour 3. And of course, it's been, Rush Hour 3 took place 7 years after Rush Hour 2. I know, considering the 7-year development hell period that film took to be made. And I realized, what on earth was they coming up with the whole Lee having siblings in his family. And it was uncertain if they actually had, if Lee actually had siblings in his family, the Lee family. But his first name, well, it was never stated in the movies that Lee's first name is Jonathan or John, but technically they didn't mention that when Jackie Chan played him in the movies. Steven was his mid name aside from James and Carter. I didn't expect that. That's labeled here on the Wikipedia article as I'm reading it. Other than that, every other character from the movies, like the lady that, that detective lady that Carter had on the job back in Rush Hour 1, that was originally Elizabeth Penna's character, rest in peace, Penna. Or even a character like, or a Soo Young like character in there. Instead, she's replaced with Kim Lee, who is Lee's younger sister, who first arrived at Los Angeles but joined the Kwanto. I guess this is like the TV show's equivalent to Juntao's name, I guess. A dangerous Chinese crime organization, believing that her brother wasn't wasn't letting her live up to her full potential as a cop. And of course, in the Assault on Precinct 7 episode, she was revealed to be an MSS agent undercover in the organization, but opts to keep this hidden from Lee to protect him. Then I'm like, what's up with that? Really, I just don't fucking get it anymore. Yeah, and then also I get that they kept the title, the title design from the movies for, this time with the Chinese symbol on it, in the background, but this made me think that this was a bad a bad quick cash out of a production of a show based on a popular comedy movie franchise featuring two of the greatest, comedians and actors on the planet. So actually, let me go the episodes of the show, and I'm going to wrap it up and give you my thoughts. So I only watched the pilot episode when the show premiered on March 31st of 2016 this year, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you about it. Basically, the pilot is a retelling of how Carter and Lee met, and but differently. When the Quanto organization from Hong Kong steals valuable terracotta statues from a cargo plane in Los Angeles, Detective Lee, tasked with recovering them travels to Los Angeles and is partnered with Detective James Carter. Their investigation leads them to a noodle restaurant in Chinatown used by the Quanto. Seriously, Rush Hour 1 told this story better, while also focusing on the subplot of rescuing that one-off little kid. While there, Lee encounters his sister Kim, who was believed to be killed along with the officers guarding the statues, and learns she's working with the Quanto. Because of their actions, Carter is suspended by Captain Lindsay Cole, that being Wendy Malik's character, and Lee is ordered to return to Hong Kong. Carter convinces Lee to continue the investigation, which leads them to an empty mall containing the statues. Inside the mall, Lee encounters his sister Kim and learns that Thomas was responsible for the Quanto stealing the statues. With the statues recovered, Carter's suspension is lifted, and Lee reveals to him that he had transferred to the LAPD office. Now, episode 2 is directed by Robocop himself, Peter Weller. So, yeah, there's an Easter egg for Robocop fans. The episode 2 days or the number of hours within that time frame. Detectives Carter and Lee investigate a series of homicides committed by a gang during a home invasion. They are called to arrest a drug dealer who turns out to be Carter's cousin Gerald and arrests him. When they notice he's wearing a stolen Rolex from one of the homes, Carter suggests a deal with Captain Cole that Gerald helped them in exchange for avoiding prison, but she refuses. Carter decides to break him out anyway, and he leads them across the city. But when the investigation leads them nowhere, Gerald handcuffs Carter to a handrail and flees. They realize that the gang responsible for the homicides had worked on the houses previously when Lee remembers the similar art styles used in the homes, which leads them to Nick Wright. After arresting Nick, Carter is called back to the station by Captain Cole and is told that as punishment for his actions, he can take no acclaim for the arrest and then congratulate Lee. Gerald is later released from custody. Okay. Thank you, thank you, Robocop, for directing that one-off episode. And on the show ain't going to last as long, but it didn't. Captain Cole's playlist. Carter and Lee searches for a young graffiti artist who witnessed the murder of the LAPD detective and is the link of the suspect, an infamous criminal known as the Turk. LA real estate boom. Carter and Lee investigate a series of bombings committed by a man targeting people connected to a strip club that was demolished. They learned that the man responsible working at a bakery that was lost during the demolition, and that the man had previously attempted to get the building classed at a heritage site, but failed. Meanwhile, Gerald, after learning that Lee is looking for a new place to stay, offers his services to take him to Dee Dee's place. Gerald tells Lee that the place is perfect for him, as he had once said that it felt like home to him. Lee is reluctant to accept the offer, but is reassured by Dee Dee that he's welcome to stay in the spare room. Now, assault on Precinct 7. Lee's sister goes on an undercover mission without her brother knowing. She is an MSS agent who works for the Chinese Ministry of Security with MSS agent Joseph Young alongside FBI agent Myers and CIA agent Wessling. They meet up with Captain Cole, Agent Lee, and ask Captain Cole to let her brother know if he blows her cover. And then welcome back Carter, much more like, of course, they're, called back to the John Travolta-driven show from the 70s, Welcome Back Kotter. Lee and Carter poses as faculty at a prestigious high school to investigate the death of a student, later discovered to be an undercover police officer investigating illegal drug activity. Now, there is barely any information for the next 3 episodes, so I'm just going to go ahead and say this, but the show just sucks. It sucks periodly. I mean, the movies were better. I suggest watch the movies instead. This was a waste of anyone's time watching on Thursday nights on CBS. And I sort of had some anticipation for the TV show, but I realized it was a bunch of crap. Bunch of hooey and crap. So, nothing more. Final thoughts. What are your thoughts on the show? And in conclusion, my advice, stick to the movies with Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker. This is not worth your time. And I'm glad it's not going to be used for any streaming syndication like on Netflix or Hulu, because I don't care to even see it again. Because it is not like what we expected it to be. So those are my thoughts on the Rush Hour television series. Give me your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. And tell me what you think. Anthony Mars Jr. on PRLostGalaxy2014 into another random rant. Subscribe, drop a like, share this video with your friends, and we'll talk soon. Thanks for watching. Fuck you, Brett Ratner.